everyone. Welcome to a horrific ARG Presents. I am Software Pirate Aaron, joined as always by a ghoul. If you say his name 3 times into a mirror, he will show up and clog up your toilet. I give you the Zeus.
Hello, mortals!
Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Hello, sir. So, if you joined us last week, we spun the unholy wheel and we made the demonic deal that this week we will be playing games produced by Williams Electronics. Now, for those that were with us last week, and there were a few,
very few, sir,
you will recall that we covered pinball of the late 80s last week, and the 2 machines that we picked out were both from Williams. So this is sort of a double header here of Williams action. Now, I have decided not to bore you with the horrific details of the Williams Corporation, since we sort of covered that last week, Zeus. So, this week, we're going to just talk candidly amongst yourselves about some classic Williams titles and what we thought about them. Some are more classic than others, right? So, let's talk, the Zeus, about a few of these games. Now, Williams had several hits, and we should probably go ahead and talk about their first big hit, Defender. Now, Look at this, everyone. Whoa! You can see right here. Whoa! I used to own a Defender. This is all that's left of it. I was given the cabinet from a pal, and my plan was to turn this cabinet into some sort of elaborate throne, and that's the facts. But it didn't happen.
No, you wussed out.
I just didn't wuss out. I ran out of space. It had to go.
From wussing.
Yes. Of course, a lot of the Williams cabinets were stenciled, weren't they, Zeus?
Yes.
They had a very nice,
black,
attractive,
orange, and yellow color scheme.
That's right. A lot of people really enjoy their stenciled side. So let's just kick it off, since that was their first big hit. What did you think about Defender as a game, and did you find any of the home ports pleasing?
I hated Defender. Too hard. It was too hard for my feeble brain back then to comprehend.
It did come out in 1980.
Yes.
Personally, I was never a big fan of Defender, but I respected those that were good at it.
Yes.
It's a difficult game. You've got buttons instead of joysticks for everything. You've got left and right buttons, thrust buttons. You got smart bomb buttons, fire buttons. You got buttons coming out the yin-yang. A lot of buttons, y'all. And so this was too difficult for me. This was like the old 20-minuters in World War I, the fighting pilots. This game was the 2-minuter. By the time you put your quarter in, you were probably dead in 2 minutes or less. Very difficult game. Now, it was a game where you sort of, I guess the gimmick was you flew over a landscape and rescued the little fellows that were down on the ground.
Yes.
And it's just craziness going on out in space. Difficult game. Not one of my favorites. Now, did you ever play Now, when I'm talking about Stargate here, did you ever play Defender 2?
No.
Defender 2, I've not played it either, but and I don't know what the difference between it and Stargate is. I've never seen a Defender 2 as well. So I seem like I saw a marquee for one, but I've never seen it. So we're going to move on. Now, a couple of these I've not heard of, Zeus. Have you played a game called Splat?
I have, but I do not remember it.
Right.
Let me check the Holy Tomes.
They also had a game. Now, I played this one quite a bit back in the day. Which was, they did Bubbles. Do you remember Bubbles?
Oh, yes.
Bubbles
Absolutely.
was this game where you were, basically it took place in like a sink, all right? And you were a cleaning bubble rolling around. But I thought it was a pretty clever game, actually, didn't you?
Splat was the food fight game.
Oh, I see. I don't think I ever played that one back when it was out.
I surely did not play it out in the wild, but I've played it at home, yes.
Now, another classic Williams title. We got to talk about this one. In fact, I almost picked that one for this week's show. Was the very clever, very original Joust. Joust, a game where you're an armored knight with a ostrich mount, and you joust one another. You joust enemy knights on their birds, And you, among other things, you also fight this Periodactyl or whatever that thing was called. A great game, very clever game, often imitated, including Balloon Fight comes to mind as one that was an imitator. Do you remember your early memories of playing Joust?
I hate Joust.
You hate Joust?
Yes.
Why do you hate Joust?
I did not like having to continuously hit the button to fly.
So, the almighty Zeus is lazy, is what you're saying.
Sort of.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was and that's a pivotal part of the game, man. You hit that button, you tap it. The harder you tap it, the higher and quicker you.
I certainly understand that. That doesn't make me like it anymore.
I've never met anyone who didn't like Joust.
Yeah,
I'm not sure I want to be associated with anybody that doesn't like Joust. To be honest with you. So they also had Joust 2.
Yes.
Play this.
Yep.
What'd you think of that one?
Much like Joust, didn't like it.
He's tough, y'all. He's tough.
Now, I am not saying these are bad games, because they aren't bad games. I certainly understand the appeal. They just don't appeal to me.
Clearly not. So, let's talk about the Eugene Jarvis spectacular, beloved game, unique controls. You know what I'm talking about. Robotron 2084. Now, this game used a dual joystick setup.
Yes.
The ultimate run and gun, as you use one stick to move around and one stick to shoot in the direction you're aiming the stick. This game is another a difficult game, isn't it, Brent? And what was your opinion on Robotron?
Love Robotron.
Now, you love Robotron.
Yes.
What did you like about it?
Fast-paced action, great controls, very defined objectives. Like you said, ultimate run and gun. Certainly a game that the more you play it, the better you get. Because when you start, brother, you suck.
The addition of, it's almost like, what it reminded me of when it came out is a sort of a Berserk on heroin or on acid. I mean, it's there's a zillion things going on. Plus, they've the added element of trying to rescue your family members.
Yes.
Not easy. And that game really ramps up in difficulty. But it's a beloved game.
And it should be. Great high score game. Me
personally, not my bag.
Oh.
And I'll get on the games that were my bag.
Now I'm going to jump off your list a little bit.
All right.
The obviously next thing to talk to is not in chronological order, but a game that's exactly like Robotron, Smash TV.
Same. Also a Williams game.
Yes.
And that one I prefer. It is just as difficult,
yes.
But it's I have an easier time seeing what's going on in that one for whatever reason.
For Smash TV, the only reason why I like it more than Robotron is it has bosses.
It's got power-ups as well.
Well, okay, but the bosses are the thing for me.
The bosses are good, but the power-ups are great. And it's also wacky. Good luck, you'll need it.
Yes,
I like that
the game
guy.
Show aspect.
That is clearly
family out the door. We don't need them.
Yeah, and the host of that was great.
Yes,
that was a fun, well thought out machine. Again, the wagon wasn't broke. They weren't gonna fix it. They just took the same concept, updated the graphics and the audio. Bam,
yes,
you're in. It was an excellent game. Another of the Eugene Jarvis Williams games. A lot of people don't really associate this one. It was NARC. You remember NARC?
Yes.
Now
I love NARC.
I didn't play that much NARC. You want to talk about NARC?
Oh my gosh!
I know it was very
violent,
bloody. Yeah.
Violent as the day is long. You are a cop, which is kind of funny because you're not narking on anyone. You are the cop. You're going, shooting bad drug dealers, bad guys, avoiding getting needles thrown at you, getting shot.
We're doing that around here right now.
Yes, we are. You could arrest people if you walk up to them and don't shoot them, although it's very difficult. It's, lots easier to shoot them. The boss in that, Mr. Big, excellent end boss. He's a huge head, and then it's crazy time.
I've never beat that game.
Oh, yes.
An interesting game, though. The controls on it you like?
I mean, they're fine, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They get the job done.
So, there are just a few others I want to touch on here. We didn't like Defender that much. What was your opinion on Stargate?
Same dealio. I like shooters, but that's just, I don't know.
a little more refined.
Yeah.
Now, one here, aside from developing games, Williams would publish a few arcade games, and they published. I want to touch upon these because I don't know where we're gonna get around here again. IRM made an excellent game that was published by Williams. It was named Moon Patrol.
Yes.
A little tune. Love the little tune. Now, I used to own a Moon Patrol. You'll recall that we got it in that massive super deal of arcade machines we picked up in Louisville. Your thoughts on the Moon Patrol? Again, not a Williams developed game, but they did put it out there.
They had a much better eye for games than they really did producing games.
I don't agree with that. Why do you say that? Strictly because of Moon Patrol?
No, not strictly because of Moon Patrol, but Moon Patrol was a certain hit. Holy cow. I could play Moon Patrol right now. In fact, let's just load it up. Shut down the show. Let's play some Moon Patrol.
I've never gotten tired of Moon Patrol.
No.
I'll have to admit.
Play it right now.
Amongst the Williams games, despite the fact they only licensed it, didn't develop it, this is my favorite by a country mile. With Joust probably coming a close second. Sorry, I like Joust. But Moon Patrol was just a tremendous game. I really enjoyed that one quite a bit. So you can see that they had a pretty good pedigree of games. Now, whether you like Defender or Stargate or some of these other games, they were popular, well-received games.
Absolutely. Well, most of that batch. Yeah, most of their beginning batch was highly touted.
That's right.
And a lot of people copied their design just like they copied Pong's design at the very beginning.
Absolutely.
So, of course, back in those days, that's what happened. What I mean back in those days, it happens now all the time.
That's true.
Someone makes one good idea and somebody else just says, well, I can make it better, and then the ball just keeps rolling.
One thing Williams games did have, and almost every one of the old ones had this incredible sound. I call it the Williams sound because it only appeared in their video games that would often appear in their pinball machines. Behind us, off in the distance, is a Firepower 2 game which has sounds.
I see only ghosts.
Yeah, which have sounds directly from the Defender series, and
yes.
they would recycle those sounds throughout all their properties, and so you sort of got used to hearing these and they were cool sounds too.
Yes.
They had a real way of another one that comes to mind is Black Knight had sounds that you would hear in the arcade. So they would use those sounds, and whatever they had cooking in there, they produced some nice noise. That's for sure.
Also, Williams font for their arcade games, very iconic.
They did have a font. They had their own kind of special Williams font. You're right. Yep. It was sort of, I don't know how you would describe it. It's just a Williams font.
I would describe it as them doing the best they could with what they had available.
Yes, indeed.
But it was very iconic. When you see it, you know it's a Williams game.
That's true. Even when you put the money in, it had a distinctive noise. Everything about their games, the look and the art on the sides, it was very distinct. Now, of course, these are the older games. The newer games, they went with traditional art, but the old ones, they stenciled all the art on. And their pinball machines were stenciled a lot of times, too, and the stenciling very similar.
Yes.
I'm assuming it's similar artists worked on those games. But they had a very robust library of games. So, with that in mind, and considering the width and breadth of Williams games, we were tasked to pick a couple games from their illustrious library. Now, I'll tell you, we're going to let the Zeus lead the show this week.
Of course you are.
But from all these illustrious games, I, the software pirate, had never heard of this game that the Zeus picked out this week. I had no idea what the hell this thing was. And only when I played it did I even understand. I'd never heard of it. I'd never seen it. I've never seen seen it mentioned. It does not get mentioned amongst the great games from the Williams library. And I don't know how you even came across this thing, the Zeus. Were you just milling around and you found something?
Zeus comes back to Earth just once every 10,000 years. And this time it's to review his favorite game, Mystic Marathon.
I see. And
yes.
so this game really appeals to the
gods on
Mount Olympus.
Yes.
Okay, I want to hear this. Go
Mystic
ahead.
Marathon, released in 1984, early 1984, by Williams, of course. What a game. What a game. This was after the big hits of Defender, the big hits of, a lot of the games we just talked about.
Yeah.
This was sort of their second push into the market. Probably why you've never heard of this game, conversion kit only. And for those who aren't in the arcade know, what that means is Williams produced this game to fit in their existing cabinets. So think of it like a cart swap for a console. You take one game out, you put another game in. That is what this is.
Very common practice back in the day.
Well, more common towards the end of the arcade era when it was literally just take out one game, put in another because of the JAMA system. The conversion kits for this, you could get one for either Defender. There was a kit that worked in Joust, Robotron 2084, and Stargate, and a final kit that was used to upgrade a Bubbles machine. These kits consisted of the main PCB, is what actually drives the game, and then you had to strip a lot of components off of your existing, Defender or whatever it was, and put them onto this board. Actual solder work was involved to make these transfers.
So this is back when arcade operators were operating.
Owner-operators weren't some minimum wage kid down at the 7-Eleven. This was somebody who actually knew what they were doing.
Yeah, I understand.
And
often they would butcher these things, wouldn't they?
Well,
we've seen some of their work in pinball and arcade machines in the past. Some operators were better than others.
Owner-operators had one goal: make money. And if make money meant you run a wire from one end of the board to the other, and that wire is a coat hanger, then you do it. If it gets the game back up and running and making money.
Right on.
So, for conversion kits on this game, you had to take off the sound pot. You had to take wires off, chips off, everything off.
Chips?
Yes.
Dang.
Well, socket chips.
Oh, I see.
And put them onto your Mystic Marathon to get it up and running. Then the instructions say, paint the side of your cabinet black. Get rid of all that beautiful stenciling that was Defender or the artwork that was Joust. Paint it all black.
Now, we had, I should go back when we got that Moon Patrol cabinet, it was painted black.
Yes.
And underneath it was the beautiful Moon Patrol
Yes.
side art. So I'm assuming they had something in that before they put Moon Patrol back in it. This was a common, horrible practice back in the day.
It was. So the instructions say paint your cabinet black, and then it gave you 2 stickers to put on the side of your machine. And that was it. So once you get all that done, you've got a Mystic Marathon. Oh, and a new control panel, of course. And this actually came with, some will just come with a sticker that overlays on the control panel. This was a whole thing. You took your old control panel off, you put your new control panel on, new bezel around your screen, and new marquee.
Okay.
So when you have all that done, now you have a Mystic Marathon. There was no buying a Mystic Marathon from the factory. You had to do it yourself. So what is Mystic Marathon? It is a left-to-right race where you control a little gnome elf.
Looks like a little old man to me.
Well, it's not, because it has pointy ears and is half the size of a normal man. We're going to call them gnomes for lack of any other terminology.
Williams knows.
That's right.
All right, got it.
All of your opponents are in white, and you are in red, majestic red. And you run from island to island, and each island has its own hazards or helps as you run. These range from, the hazards are foot-stomping ogres, apple-tossing trees, whirlpools, rock monsters, gargoyles, geysers, sharks, wizards, giant clams, meanie mushrooms, lightning bolts from the gods, tornadoes, water monsters, and rolling stones. All of these will appear and heed your progress.
Sounds pretty impressive, doesn't it?
Yes, yes. And there are things to help you as well. Along your run, you can pick up pearls and golden mushrooms for bonus score. You can also have helping hands fling you across the screen. Go through caves to progress further in your quest. Hidden bridges that when you start to walk across them appear and disappear behind you so your opponents can't take advantage of them. Sleeping dragons that you can roll down their backs. And leaf boats to help you travel from island to island. None of these are required, but doing so will give you an advantage over your opponents. And if you don't finish in the top 3, you're out. You're out of the Mystic Marathon.
You may have mentioned this, but did you mention the giant hand that just physically throws you?
I did, software pirate of not listening.
It just throws you. It throws you across the island.
Yes. It is very helpful. Very helpful.
It gives you a helping hand.
Yes.
It's not that helpful.
It is quite helpful. Like I said, you have to get into the top 3 to advance. There are 7 total runners. So, it's a difficult task. Controls in this, up, down, left, right, 1 button, jump. 2-player is not simultaneous. You switch in and out. I had a lot of fun with Mystic Marathon. I really did. And the reason why you don't hear a lot about this game, besides it's a conversion, is there's no question this is a downturn in quality over other Williams titles at the time. I'm going to say that you did not like Mystic Marathon. Is that what you're dying to say?
Well, I'll tell you, Zeus.
All right.
Listen, there's not a lot of people worshiping you anymore. Clearly, you're not getting a lot of sun up there on Olympus. Maybe you need to get out in the real world, where this game is, unlike Joust that featured ostriches, this features a turkey. A big old turkey.
No, that's turkey shoot. I can convict it
this
too.
Game is a turkey. No wonder this wasn't released in its own cabinet. Stink-a-roo.
You're being way too
Let me explain
harsh.
what's wrong with this game. You start this race with about 5 or 6 other guys. I think the number depends. I think you should go
6.
forward. Does it change? Does it go up?
No, the number.
And so it's literally chaos. Now, it is sort of a free-form run swim to these islands, okay?
Well, you run and swim both.
The control is not the best. And what's really not the best is the crossing the water. This guy is Michael Phelps. He ain't. He takes so long to get across that water that it just slows everything down. I cheated, of course, after I lost countless times. And I found the cheat that would let me win every race, no matter how I finished. This game gets easier as you get to the higher levels. And I say that because I will say to the game's credit, it mauls everyone equally. So all your opponents are also getting mauled. But there's so many opponents versus you that generally 1 or 2 sneak way ahead. All right, I got to level 13 before I actually finished a race in the top 3.
Well,
and I played this game more than any man should, or God.
No.
It does have a lot of wrinkles. I can tell you the multitude of problems. Number 1, the map doesn't really change. It's the same islands over and over and over.
Not true.
That they're not. They have little to no difference. And I played through like almost 20 levels of this. So I've got a good. I'm telling you. No, you're not going to see anything. There's no scenery change or anything. There may be some things where they weren't, some things where they weren't before.
The background never changes, but the islands are always different. I will go into that in a second. Go ahead and finish your pointless rant.
The guys are too small, okay? It's hard to see what's going on. It's hard to get an idea of the depth on the island because of the graphics. It's hard to see what you're in line of hitting. There are things you can step on that hurt you, or holes you can fall in, and you can hit them a lot because it's hard to determine the depth of where those things are. There are multiple paths you can take on these islands. And when I say these islands, I mean, you're talking about a one video game screen length island. And it's not like they take forever to get across. And often you'll go one path will go up and one path will go down. Don't ever go up. unless you're trying to catch the balloons or the
birds
hawk
or the
that'll pick you
butterfly.
up. It's a miracle if you get them, by the way. And the computer will get them, and I remember the first time I saw the balloons, it was like, go! And I'm talking 3 seconds later, I just see where the computer approach just hauling butt with the balloons. I'm like, what the heck was that? Where did that come from? The water, unfair. Aside from the fact that you're incredibly slow, as you get into the later levels, it is full of sharks and whirlpools.
Yes.
I mean, it's ridiculous, man. Sometimes you're just going to be going along, and a sea monster just comes up and eats you. You can't see him. You don't know where he came from. You don't know where he's been. He just eats you. You're gone. And that slows you down. You don't have lives in this game. You just have like Zeus said, you have to finish in the top 3. But you're guaranteed to fail. I mean, I would meet the man that can get to the top 3 on any of the first 6 or 7 levels. Impossible.
Well,
difficult game.
You have met him, Grand Sir.
Oh,
His
yes.
name is Zeus.
I
I made it to like level 12, no problem.
Please.
I made it to like level 12, no problem.
The game is too freeform for my taste. It just ends up going into chaos, especially when you're in a group of guys. It's a real pain. It's tough to see what's going on. That was my biggest gripe with the game. The concept of the game is kind of interesting. So kind of like obstacle course where you jump across the islands. I would have done several things different. The first thing I would have done would be eliminate the water, or at least greatly set it down. Here's an example. One of the quickest ways to get across these channels of water is to take a running leap and make sure that the last pixel you touch is earth before you jump. You get a head start, okay?
That is true.
It helps, but it's not great. Well, when you're up on top of the mountain of the island and you jump off, instead of like swan diving in like Jimmy Snuka, your guy drops like King Kong Bundy, straight down. No good. They could have used that because that would at least give you a reason to go up on those cliffs. Because there's not one. Anytime you go up there, you're an idiot. There are diamonds and gold scattered around. Maybe you go into that more.
Points.
But, I mean, they don't give you any actual benefit.
Only points.
All right? When you get to the later levels with the wizards and stuff, forget about it. These guys are shrinking you left and right. They're screwing you over. These things are really tough. Also, the orcs or whatever that jump up on top of you and smash you.
Yes.
It's hard to guess where they're going to come down. It's hard to guess when you're going to be affected. When you're in their area of attack. You know what I'm saying? It's tough. And all this stuff takes time. And if you get hurt or falter one time, you're done.
No,
that's not true. One and done, son. You get one chance. You're never going to finish first. That's a pipe dream. But you could finish third if you got lucky. But you've got to have a near perfect run to get third place. And I don't see it happening. This thing would made zero cash. I bet it made no money. This is one of those games you put a quarter in it. You play it one time. You're like, screw this. And the amount of money you'd have to put in this thing to get good would be astronomical. I didn't like it.
Did you play this on the Xbox?
No.
You played it on main?
I played it on main, yes.
Okay. You're wrong. On a lot of levels, and let me explain why. Yes, the game is difficult. Yes, there are choices you have to make in the game that will affect the outcome of the race more so than others. You don't go up top unless you see a bird or a balloon or something up there. That's 100% true.
And they don't come out until level 8 or 9
10.
or something
and
like that.
The game is good about this. For the most part, you have your standard obstacles, and it adds something new every level for the first 10 or 12 levels. So it's not like it just piles on all at the beginning. And as it introduces these new things, it pulls other things out. So there's never a race, well, there might be far later one, that has every single hazard. It's because they would be ridiculous. This is how you win at Mystic Marathon. You cheat. 100, and not,
I agree.
I always get first cheat. You go in every hole
cheat.
you see. You go in every cave you see.
Some of the holes don't go anywhere.
No. You can tell which ones are going to go advance you on the screen.
Yeah, because the guy in front of you's already hit that one.
Yeah.
He's long gone.
You go in every hole. You go in every cave. You use every helping hand. If you see a balloon, you do it. If you see a mystic bridge, you run across it. If you see a boat, you get in it. If you don't take advantage of every single cheat on the map, then you're going to lose. you have to physically go out of your way to get the cheats because they will advance you farther than if you just ran straight. That's true. That is how you get far in this game. Because even if you're at the bottom of the screen and you see the Mystic Bridge at the top, you run up the screen and you run across that Mystic Bridge. There are certain situations, the balloons and the butterflies, or the bird things in particular, that it is sometimes in your best interest to wait for them. Then, even if you're sitting there for a little bit, and get on it and then fly you across. The water does slow you down tremendously, and that is why you use everything in your power to avoid it.
It's also tough to get out of the water. That's a real pain. Well, it's a hassle. Getting out of the water can be tough. Now, I learned later on, just when you get near land, just start pumping that jump button, and eventually you'll get out of there quicker. But, I mean, you get hung on the land. It's a real pain in the butt. Again, I didn't like the way this guy moved. It clunky, I guess is the word. I mean, this is not the guy from Decathlon, if you know what I mean. This guy is a little pudgy doofus.
He controls like a gnome. Yeah. He is not.
Who enters a gnome in the Mystic Marathon?
They're all gnomes. We race gnomes. That's what the Mystic Marathon is.
That doesn't seem right.
We bet on our gnome, and then we help our betted gnome out by throwing lightning bolts down at the other guy. Seems easy.
You're sure hitting me a lot.
I am not saying that this is as good as, say, Joust.
Or Pong.
No, it's better than Pong, okay? I'm not saying that this is the second coming, and if you haven't played this game, you're garbage. Okay? I'm not saying that. However...
I like the thought that Zeus would say that, though. You're garbage.
However...
Human garbage.
Well, you are human garbage, but that's beside the point. This is a game that you should check out because I bet you've never heard of it.
Correct.
I bet you've never played it.
Also correct.
And it is something that if you give it 5 minutes, you're going to hate it. If you give it an hour, you're going to love it.
I gave it 2 hours. I didn't like it.
Oh, I don't know how.
Also, where's the 2-player version of this game? That would have been a lot of fun.
No, that's 2 players.
Yes, just like track and field. Prepare to qualify.
You'd have to split the screens.
No.
And then, because you couldn't keep both people on the screen.
Listen.
And then everything would be too small.
No, this game was a good concept, but there's a reason why it didn't make prime time. It is not good enough. It's just not good enough.
Let me tell you some things that Mystic Marathon did better than anyone else, okay? It was the first video game to have 32 simultaneous colors on screen.
And yet it still looks crummy. I can't figure that out.
That's not fair. This is also a game that does not emulate correctly.
Oh, okay.
The colors on MAME are all screwed up. The purple sky and purple water, incorrect. Those should be blue. There are other color tweaks.
You were just waiting for me to walk into this track.
There are other color tweaks. The cracks in the mountain are supposed to be more of a grayish brown. So if you think this game's ugly, it's because you're emulating it.
It is ugly.
Unfortunately, there's no other way to play it. It was never released to home consoles. The MAME emulation has never been fixed. Even if you go and look at like high score runs for this game, they're all going to have that pink sky. Very few even screenshots exist of the blue sky.
Very good, Zeus. Very good. You got me on that one, my friend.
So there are, you have to forgive the graphics a little bit because you're not seeing them in their true glory.
Doesn't forgive the gameplay, though.
A few other trivia things about this. Oh, and I apologize in advance. I'm going to completely butcher this name. The lead programmer for this, Christina Donofrio.
Don't know much about history.
Be nice to me. I'm really bad with names. Donofrio. She also did all the work on Joust 2.
Oh boy, what a pedigree.
Um,
I'm sorry, don't know.
Some other people of note. Remember we talked last week about Python Angelo?
Yeah.
He came up with the concept and art for the sharks and the apple throwing trees.
Okay.
So he has. I guess when you go into Williams, because even Christina did pinball machines as well.
Mm-hmm.
But at Williams at the time, I guess they tossed people around to wherever they were most needed. This game, hard to find. If you want, there is rumored to exist 3 prototype cabinets with stenciled art and complete kits, standalone games. Rumored because no one actually has them. There are rumors of people playing them. And there are people who have stenciled machines to make it look like a prototype. Those prototypes are valued at $4,000. The machine itself in a conversion state, how much do you think this goes for?
I couldn't tell you. A conversion state, $300.
The marquee alone right now is bidding for almost $200 for just the marquee. A cabinet with this game, with this conversion in it, runs you about $1,500.
For this game? I don't think so.
Zeus approved.
So, Zeus, you don't know how many of these they made then?
Oh, absolutely not. And I'm going to say very few survived, because if you ripped apart your Defender or your Robotron and put this in it, I'm going to guess it got ripped out real quick.
Yeah, I'd say you're probably right.
Because even though I enjoy the game, like I said, this ain't Robotron. And this, I can't imagine this made the money Robotron made.
No, I would say you're probably right.
All right. Let's go on so I can kill your game. Or, I mean, see what you play.
Wait a minute now. So you're planning on destroying this game?
I would never.
I think not. For it hungers. It hungers, coward. My game this week, the beloved, the national treasure, that is Sinistar. Sinistar, of course, made by Williams. In 1983, it came out. It was manufactured in 82. If you look on the screen, it says 82, but this thing actually didn't arrive in the arcades until 83. Again, designed and published by Williams. Now, get this. Designer of this was a fellow named Noah Falstein, who went on to do some interesting stuff that you would have heard of, Brentster.
All right.
He did Coronis Rift. Remember that? The old computer title. He did Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, and he did Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis. Very popular game.
You know what else he did?
What else did he do?
He produced the Ogres and Helping Hands, and that's right, Mystic Marathon.
Well, hey, listen, every silver lining's got a cloud. All right. Another fellow that worked in this game and helped design it, John Newcomer. You could tell that Williams. This was a team done there.
Yes, they really were.
Newcomer worked on Joust and Joust 2, Tri-Sports, NBA Jam, Revolution X, NARC, Gilligan's Island, Pinball, and Seven Wonders. Pretty good, eh?
Yes.
And the artist on this was also the designer. His name was Jack Hager. He designed Smash TV, Trog, and Carnival. He did art on Terminator 2, Joust 2, and War Gods, among others. Oh, remember War Gods?
Yes.
Again, you can't win them all, y'all. So this came out in, again, February of 83. So this game had a lot of firsts, actually. Amongst them, this was the first game with a joystick like it had.
Yes.
It was the super positional mega stick.
49 directional.
Yeah, 49 direction joystick, which was a first, which I didn't know that. And they designed it specifically for this game they needed that kind of control.
Yes.
Go figure. Now here's something I didn't know either. Sinistar, because I always heard that the first game in stereo was Gyrus, right?
Mm-hmm.
According to these sources here, and I looked at a couple places, the first game that had stereo was Sinistar, the Environmental.
Huh.
Go figure. So your mileage may vary.
Interesting.
This game came in 2 cabinet styles. It came in your standard, normal stand-up style that you're all used to. Then it had the Environmental of Doom. This thing was a massive environmental. Do you remember
I have never seen a Sinistar environmental.
I have actually seen one, and it's awesome looking. Among other things, it pops open in a weird way. It's a very strange cabinet, but I mean, it's awesome looking and big. It's worth a lot of money. It's one of those highly prized.
I would imagine so.
And it's also massive, Sinistar, amongst aside from the fact, okay, you got your stereo, you got your environmental cab. Sinistar featured digitized voice.
Yes.
All right. The voice of Sinistar. And who do you know? Do you know who the voice of Sinistar was?
I do not.
It was radio personality John Dormus.
I knew it was a radio personality. I didn't know who it was, though.
Now, the bit of hardware they used to generate this thing, the HC55516C VSD decoder. And we'll get to Sinistar here in a minute, the actual factual guy. So what is Sinistar? In Sinistar, it's a one-player hot seat game. You can play 2 players, one at a time. You play a little ship, and your job is to defeat Sinistar and blow up his minions, effectively. Sinistar's got a bunch of workers out, and what they're doing is they're mining this asteroid field, okay?
Yes.
Simple stuff. Now, you've got a couple types of ships in this, okay? So, these little planetoids, they look more like asteroids than anything else. Are full of sinisite crystals.
Yes.
All right.
Very valuable.
And so all around you there are little ships, and they're pecking at these things like a
yes.
chicken pecks at feed. And they're pecking at these things. They're red, and they're trying to mine these little crystals. And when you see a little crystal, it's literally a flashing pixel.
Yes.
Very small, that starts to float through space. And these little red ships will grab these sinisite crystals, and they will head back to where the building site is in space, of where they're building Sinistar. Okay, and your job is the number one, first and foremost. You are there to get these crystals too, because you use these to make Sinonite bombs, basically.
Yes.
Okay. Your purpose is the exact opposite of the workers. Your job is to take these bombs and use these bombs to defeat Sinistar. Because Sinistar is being built by these little red ships, these little worker ships. Now, the Cinnabomb are doing
delicious.
Good. Yeah, head over to Cinnabomb at your nearest convenience. The Cinnabombs, they're basically almost like heat-seeking bombs. When you launch them, they'll sort of head over towards Sinistar, where he's being built. Now, if anything gets in the way of them, they'll just be gone.
If you just launch them willy-nilly, you're not going to hit.
And get this, the computer in this is so clever. Not only will they block the Cinnabombs with their body, but if they can't get to them, they'll try to shoot them.
Yeah.
Before they actually hit the bad guy. So the whole time you're doing this, somewhere off in the distance, and it starts about 2 full arcade screen lengths away, Sinistar is being built. Okay, it takes a good while to build him. I think he's about 20 pieces to build Sinistar.
13.
No, it's 20. It is 20 to build him. It's 13 to blow him up.
Okay.
So you'll hear him off in the distance, and there's something I should mention. In the true Williams tradition of gaming, there's also a radar screen at the top.
Yes.
And there's also a little thing that tells you like messages like of what's happening.
Yeah.
Sinistar is 50% completion, blah, blah, blah. Sinistar he's out. And so the radar screen, it'll literally show you all the red... I'll show you all the red points, which are the little workers. It shows you all the crystals, and it also shows you all all the actual warships that are around.
Yeah.
These warships are odd. You could run right into one and not be hurt.
That's right.
They're basically picture like a hexagon, and inside a hexagon is a little like round fort with a gun sticking out of it. And these things shoot. They're pretty accurate. They're not super fast shooters. You can ram them. That's no problem. But if you get shot by them, you blow up. And so it gives this game an odd play style where you're forever ramming stuff.
Yes.
You're hitting the asteroids. You're hitting the workers. You're hitting the fighters. You're hitting this stuff all the time and not dying. The only way you can be killed in this really is to either encounter Sinistar, which we'll get to, or to be shot by these bad guys.
Correct.
Now,
the workers can't kill you at all.
No, the workers can't do jack squat. So, and you can just push those guys out of your way. They're just little tiny ships. So, eventually, Sinistar is built, all right, and he will announce his presence.
I live.
I live. He says a bunch of cool stuff. He says, "Beware, I live." That's his thing. Then he says, "I hunger," or "I hunger, coward."
Yes.
"I am Sinistar. Run, run, run. Beware, coward. Run, coward." And he also goes, "Bleh!" It makes a big scream, too. So, what is Sinistar? If like the Death Star was super evil, you'd have Sinistar. It's this big, robotic devil face.
Yeah, I was going to say,
on
if
a
the Death
planet,
Star had a face.
Listen, that would scare the crap out of me. I would have given up. The whole rebellion would have been canceled if this thing. Can you imagine this thing comes screaming into your quadrant and it's taunting you from space? Run, coward! You're like, well, I can't run. I guess we're gonna lose. So Sinistar is fast. Number one.
Yes.
Once he locks in on you, you're in deep trouble. You better have some Cinnabons ready to go. So Sinistar is literally his jaw moves when he talks.
Yeah.
He's a fully actuated like face. He comes at you. You've got really two choices. One, you Cinnabomb the crap out of him, and that'll slow him down, and you try to get the heck out of there. Two, he eats you. Those are your choices.
Yeah.
You cannot shoot him.
Yeah.
He no-sells every shot. And there's a great scene when he catches of your little ship spiraling into his mouth, and finally he just goes like, "Romp," and chomps him.
Chomps down, yeah.
And it's tremendous. I mean, this is a tremendous thing. And one thing that Sinistar had going for it back in the day, again, you're talking 82, 83. It's not like there was a ton of, like, talking in the arcade.
No.
And you would hear this thing all over the arcade. Run, run, run.
It was loud, and it was very clear.
Yeah, and you could hear it.
Very clear.
You could hear it everywhere. And so people knew some sucker just is in deep trouble.
Yeah.
It announced its presence of doom. And that's one of the things. I mean, really, Sinistar is a game that is, it is Sinistar, the actual guy. Like, no one gives a crap about your ship. No one gives a crap about the workers or the asteroids. Sinistar is the star.
Yes.
He's the star. He talks, he eats, he hungers, he rolls around the screen. And that's what makes him awesome. So when you try to Cinnabomb this guy, you have to nail him 13 times. Now, if you're nailing this guy, and all of a sudden, well, I'm out of Cinnabombs, right? The workers will keep trying to fix him. Now, in the first level, they don't.
Yeah.
He only appears one time.
Yeah. You can actually beat him in the first level.
After that, yeah, you got that right. After that, they'll rebuild him. So you better have a crap load of Cinnabombs ready to go.
I think you can only hold, 20?
I think so. And so these little workers, and the thing is, you can't kill all these guys.
They're endless.
This isn't that kind of game, And then as the game ramps up, you go through these different stages, and basically the stages are the same. It's the same thing over and over, except when you get to these stages called like the Void, where there are very few floating rocks. Then you got problems because you're really fighting for these Cinnabombs, and that's when I never got anywhere near there. I watched some videos.
Level 2.
Yeah.
I can get to level 2.
I'm not sure I've ever gotten past level 3. I've gotten past level 2 a couple times, but I've never gotten past level 3. It's just Sinistar is, once this guy's active and on the map, and I mean he's got an ambience and an aura that you just don't. It works when you hear them say those words. You're screwed.
Yeah,
he's going to come and eat you, and there's nothing you can do.
If you don't have 13 bombs by the time he becomes active, you're probably dead.
Yeah. So there is a trick in this game. Now, I never heard about this till I read it. Have you heard about this crazy trick you can perform? So, if you have a man left and Sinistar is around, you can do this trick where you shoot, you get shot at the same time that you're being eaten, and it takes off 2 men. And you go from having 1 man to no men to negative 255 men. All right? Which what that means is you've got positive 255 men. It gives you 255 men. So I guess if you had that many men, you could probably get something done.
Wow. That's a pretty huge glitch.
Well, it is, but it's nigh impossible to get it to pull it off. And I never saw anyone that did it. This game was originally called Dark Star.
No.
Yeah.
That's no good.
That's a great pub I used to go to in Louisville, but a bad name for this game. And there are actually some prototype marquees floating around with that name on it. I've not ever seen one, to be honest with you. So when this game got released, right before it went into production, management, whoever they are, and I read this several places, they decided the game was too easy, if you can believe that. So they said, crank up the difficulty, and crank up they did. And so if you're wondering why it's so freaking hard, that's why. Now, believe it or not, at a trade show, someone discovered that they had an alternate set of ROMs that were not as hard. So apparently you can get those somewhere down the line. Also, Wiki mentioned that John Newcomer, one of the design guys, his original game title for this thing was Juggernaut. Again, they chose correctly.
Yes.
You don't want to go with those. So get this. This is some hilarity. The code name for this game when it was in production was called Opie Star.
Reason?
Yeah, there's a reason for it. You ever watch the Andy Griffith Show?
Right.
You know who plays Opie on there?
Yeah.
What's his name?
Ron
Howard.
Yeah.
Well, people thought when this thing said "Run Coward," a lot of people there at Williams thought he was saying Ron Howard, and so that's what I got. Hey, listen, I'm just telling you what.
That's funny, but man, I could never see it. I can't hear it saying Ron Howard.
Yeah.
I think the audio is crystal clear for the era.
I've got to agree with you on that. I think it's real. I think it's really, really good. I mean, especially of course Williams, who had all the pinball. They used voice in that. Like Gorgar was another, like we mentioned last week, had tremendous sound in it, and this is better than that. I think it's really good.
Oh, this is way better than Gorgar. Yeah, for clarity.
So there were no ports of Sinistar to the home market, which is isn't that strange?
No, I can completely understand.
Well, get this. This is interesting. So according to this, there was a version underway for the Atari 2600 and the 8-bit family, but they were in progress, but they never finished them. Which I think's kind of neat. Now get this, for our UK and European listeners, they were making a Sinistar version for the BBC Micro and the Acorn Electron. Okay, and this was an official port that was going to be released by Atari Soft, but Atari Soft decided they weren't going to produce anything for a BBC platform, so they stopped doing it, and so the work got taken over by Superior Software and was released as Death Star. So believe it or not, if you played Death Star on your BBC Micro or Acorn, this was going to be an official port of the game.
Crazy.
It wasn't. Now here's something you'll remember. They said there are a lot of clones of this, including one I'd totally forgotten about. Sinistar with 2 A's on the Coco. Remember the Coco version of this?
No.
Yeah, it was good. It was called Computer 3, so I don't know how much you were playing with the 3 at the time. And then there's also an Amiga version called Xenostar, which is a public domain clone for the Amiga, which I haven't tried. I want to try that out. Sinistar, the character, and his various sayings, you still hear people talk about him. He pops up now and again.
Yeah.
People haven't forgotten his haunting chants. And so, again, this guy had moved well beyond the game.
Yes.
I don't hear anybody. I mean, this game did end up getting released for a bunch of the home systems on these Williams Arcade Classics,
yeah.
Midway Arcade Classics had a port of it as well. A bunch, and for everything, all the modern systems. So you can play Sinistar now if you wanted to. I mean, it was a vertical game, but you can still play it. How fun is Sinistar? Well, it's pretty good. It is gratifying to blow up Sinistar because he's such a loudmouth. But literally, I feel like even when I played it back in the day, I felt like I was a bit player in the production of a Sinistar film. You know what I'm saying? I mean, your ship is nondescript. It doesn't do anything spectacular. You're really not that much better than the worker ship.
It's like you were in there just to be eaten.
Right.
Yeah, I can see that.
Sinistar comes, and your ship doesn't look that great. And then Sinistar comes rolling in, looking awesome.
Yeah.
He's huge. He talks. You got nothing. And so you just sort of, you just sort of, it's sort of like you play Asteroids, a little ship and that's a little triangle, right? But the Asteroids aren't talking and dancing.
Yeah.
They're just big rocks. So that thing gets front stage. This time, it's not so much. I couldn't find exact production numbers on this thing, but I'm going to go on the assumption that it was under 10K. But I don't know. I mean, that was said.
Oh, surely it was under that.
Well, no, that's not.
I bet it's under that.
Oh, but I don't know exactly how many were produced, and I certainly know that the Environmental had a very small run.
I looked up a picture of the Environmental. It looks incredible, but I've certainly never seen one.
For those that are interested in the scoring in this game, I mean, it's really simple. The planetoids, when you shoot these planetoids, they start to vibrate, which is kind of wacky. And when you shoot them enough, they'll shoot a ton of these of the mineral out left and right. You can go grab it.
Sometimes, not always.
No, I mean you have to get them to a certain point where they're like this all the time. Then they'll just keep spewing it out until they calm down. It's real strange. The workers are only worth 150 points. The crystals are 200 points. You can shoot the crystals if you wanted to.
The
warrior ships are worth 500 points, and the Sinistar pieces that you blow off, they're worth 500 points. And then when you blow up Sinistar, you get 15 grand for taking him out, and you deserve it too. I eBayed this thing to see what was going on. There's not a ton. There's only one that was out there right now. It was $2,200 or best offer in the U.S. We have seen these before. I've played these before. And this is another one of those games I never thought my wildest dreams would be worth double grand.
No, I wouldn't either.
This is a whole new ball game now. And I will say, if you're going to get something for your home arcade, that's just, I mean, especially if you're one of these people that just want an ornament. Hey, I want an ornament from arcade. If you want something that's going to sound awesome occasionally and just put the chatterbox on, this is the game. I mean, I don't think it looks visually like in some ways if you look at the marquee, it's sort of amateurish looking in a weird way. I mean, you got Sinistar there, but I mean, it seems like they could have done a better job. Like I think the Marathon, it looks at the marquee's a lot more stylish. But Sinistar, I mean,
although it's sort of hurt by the green screen.
Yeah, what green screen? But Sinistar. The amateurish sort of shaky, it almost reminds me of like one of these local haunted houses you'd go to. Sinistar's a good game for Halloween. Creepy guy, almost like a Leatherface or a Jason Voorhees, a masked killer of men that strides around and eats everything it sees. What did you think about
Here's the thing with Sinistar.
Yeah.
The concept, great. The execution, not so great. And the Sinistar suffers from two major problems. Problem number one, which is by far the worst problem, the Cinnabons that you pick up, too dang small. The reason why they did it, in my opinion, is they wanted Sinistar to be this huge, massive presence on screen. And to get that to happen, everything else had to shrink. And in that process, the minerals that you pick up are so small and so hard to pick up that it goes past challenging and enters into frustrating.
It is. Controlling this is not easy.
No.
And you will forever be whipping pie. And I mean, again, now, I haven't played this on the 49 direction controller for a while, but I remember in the arcade having just as much trouble as I had on my home arcade machine. It's tough to negotiate around and get those tiny little crystals.
It's unfair brutal because the workers, I mean, you might shoot a crystal off and a worker just whip by, pick it up and gone.
You shoot that sucker.
Well, you might be able to, but if you couldn't line up in time to get the crystal, he's bigger than the crystal, but not by much. The second problem with the game is once Sinistar is built, he's built until you kill him. So on your first life, let's say you collect 10 bombs and then Sinistar's out and he comes and eats you. On your second life, Sinistar's already built and he's going to come and eat you.
Yeah.
And on your third life, now you're out of bombs. Maybe you've blown some pieces off. He's still alive. He is going to come and eat you. There's no resetting him unless you kill him. that I think was a poor choice because the build up of Sinistar being built is the fun. That's the fun. Collect this stuff before he is built. Get ready for his attack. When he's already built, it's not fun because he just hunts you down and kills you. So those are my two major problems with the game. Blowing off pieces of Sinistar is awesome. If you hit him with like 9 or 10 bombs, and like the ship is 13 actual pieces. So when you connect with a bomb, one section of him is actually no longer there.
Pretty cool.
So he's actually 13 different sprites. So when you've got like 7 or 8 done, and you've destroyed most of his exterior, maybe a little chunk of his face, but he's still flying around, that's awesome. Yeah. That's an awesome visual.
I think he's one of the all-time great video game villains. And I'm not saying that just to be a smart butt.
No, he's up there.
Because he poses such a challenge that when you hear him come to life, you're scared.
Yeah.
I mean,
because you know your game's over.
And his voice, the guy that got to record it did a great job.
Yes.
He sounds like a real evil dude, and it's enough of a robotic ting in there because of the hardware at the time. It's very good.
Because your methods of attack are pea shooter, which is only good for the little stuff and mining crystals, and also you can run into the asteroid to mine crystals, and bomb, which when you launch a bomb out, it's only to hit Sinistar. That's it, and it's not like wipe all the enemies off the screen. It is smaller than your ship bomb that kind of hovers away slowly to its target.
Yeah, you're right.
So it's unfortunate. I would love to see. This is a game that would be so awesome to be remade.
It was remade.
Oh, really?
In 1999, there was a version. It was like, I think it was called Sinistar Unleashed. I believe it was for the Xbox or PS2, and I don't recall it being very good. But I don't remember how.
Oh, really?
I don't remember.
That
it's been
is
so long
unfortunate.
ago. Yes, I'm sorry to reveal this information for me, Brent.
Wow.
Zeus, you think the all-knowing gods of Mount Olympus would have?
Well, yeah, I'm busy.
It's been a long millennium, hasn't it?
Well, when you're up on Mount Olympus. You don't really want to get up and do anything. So
I felt like that on Mud Mountain, exact same way. So, Zeus, with your kind permission,
yes,
I think you know what time it is, great old master.
Oh,
it's time for that.
1 through 7.
That's right. It's time to pick a color and rewind the tape, or it's time to hit the music.
Oh, I like the lights.
Oh, here we go, sir.
What has been added?
Now, this week, we have added, what did we add? We added, I believe, early 90s arcade.
Yes.
Now, this is early 80s arcade we were talking about today, so this will be a interesting trick.
Quite a treat.
Now, Zeus,
yes,
I will give you the honor, sir.
Of
since
course
you
will.
You have descended down. Give it a whirl, sir.
A lighter touch today.
I see that, yeah.
Oh.
Ha ha, Zeus, you crazy old bum. You've done it again.
Zeus apologizes for his actions.
Now listen, this time we will be playing games. In case you're wondering what got spun, we're going to be playing Macintosh games, y'all. Yes, right. Classic Mac games. Now, Brent or Zeus, depending on your name.
Oh, Zeus will not be back next week for this travesty.
Zeus, you spun it, Zeus. So, what's your recollection of the classic Mac era in computing?
I had some friends that had Macs. Most of them were work machines that were brought home, and then, of course, we put games on them. So I have played some Macintosh games, but I'll be completely honest, I don't remember any original Mac games. I mean, I know I played a lot of ports, but I don't remember anything that was actually made for the Macintosh. I can only think of one game that was ever famous that was made. Wasn't a Marathon made for the Mac, and that was a big game?
That was not classic Mac, though. So,
I know. We're going way back.
I'll be consulting the boat on this one before I make my decision, since he's the Mac master. So, next week, Classic Mac Gaming. A machine not known for its gaming.
No.
Zeus, but we're going to give it a whirl. So please, join us next week. And as we leave you this week, I'd like to say Happy Halloween to all of our friends and neighbors who are celebrating this fine holiday.
Yes.
Here in West Virginia, it should be a balmy 75 degrees on Halloween.
No.
And Trick or Treat will be a lovely 68, as I'll be taking the young pirate out for his trick or treating. It should be a good time.
Although not on actual trick or treat night.
Yes, because we're weird like that.
Because the locals officials are stupid.
Yeah, that's true. You got that right, Zeus. So, happy Halloween, everyone, and we'll see you next week for some Classic Mac. Until then,
be my doing.
I live. I hunger. I am Sinistar. Run, coward. Run. I live. Run, coward. Run.